So we decide on the brain surgery. Take my wife down early in the morning, Saturday morning, and they do the operation. Runs about 5 hours. And then they come out and say, well, she's in recovery and we'll come take you back in a few minutes. So in a few minutes they take me back and she's laying in the bed, looking up at me with this betadine solution across her head and this wound that's been stapled closed. And it's at this point that I realize, you know, dudes and chicks are different. And my wife is a chick. Because she looks up at me and she says, how do I look? How do I look? So I say, well, honey, you look fine. And I'm thinking, God, the only thing missing from this picture are bolts hanging out of her neck. I mean, I'm looking for a window to make sure the villagers aren't gathering with pitchforks and torches. I'm like, yeah, honey, you look fine. Okay. So our next step on this train is to ICU. ICU, that's like rich people hospital. I mean, they are on you, you know. As soon as you press the call button, the nurse shows up. What can I get you? I mean, there was one time I was reaching for the call button. Hey, what can I get you? The downside to the ICU when you have brain surgery is they wake you up every hour to make sure that there's no complications. So they wake you up and they say, okay, what day is it? Who's the president? Lift your right arm, lift your left arm, lift your right leg, lift your left leg. So after about 4 or 5 hours of this, the nurse walks through the door, my wife's going, Saturday the black guy, Saturday the black guy, Saturday the black guy. Okay.
She's cured.
Great. So we move from ICU to a regular hospital room. This is the poor area, you know. You press the call button and you get this guy who's like, hello, may I help you? Yeah, we're trying to reach our nurse. Have you tried rebooting the computer? Excuse me? Have you tried unplugging the computer? We're in room 458 and I'm trying to reach the nurse. Oh, I'm so sorry. I picked up the wrong phone. I will contact your nurse and have her come down to you. Thank you. But you know, the other thing I learned about hospitals is ice chips. Ice chips are like gold, you know? Everybody's like, give them ice chips, and all the patients are like, I want ice chips. You know? It's like cash money. In fact, my wife gave me a hand job for some ice chips. The downside is I stepped out for lunch and I came back, and there was a male nurse giving her ice chips. And when he walked by me, I swear his fly was open. Oh no. But the night nurse, she was really hot. And she thought I was kind of creepy because I was like, hey, can you give my wife some ice chips while I go get my camera? Huh? Didn't work out. But the biggest hurdle that we had is pain medication. You know, they're trying to figure out what to do with my wife as far as pain medication. Because my wife has a bit of a misspent youth. So all the drugs they were trying didn't seem to work, you know. And the doctors are getting kind of suspicious because they would name a medication and she could tell them the street name and the street price and, you know, what milligrams she should get, you know. So they wound up sort of building this wall against the pain of Tylenol and this thing called Furacet that's Tylenol and caffeine, and this opiate that's called Oxycontin, and then this drug called Dilaudid, which is like 7 times the strength of morphine. So my wife was like, oh yeah, this is great. And it sort of took her back to what she thought this surgery was going to be like, you know, because when we finally got used to the idea, she was like, oh, I'm going to be off work for 4 weeks. She loaded up her Netflix queue. She said, they're going to give me good drugs. I'm just going to hang out. But that first day without the drugs, I mean, it was like childbirth. She's screaming, and I'm like, rubbing her back. Don't touch my back! And she's, breathe through the pain, honey. Shut up! This is all your fault! I'm not sure you know how a tumor's formed, honey. I had nothing to do with this. Well, pain medication, they got it worked out. So the doctor comes and says, you know, I think she's ready to go. So I need to talk to you about a couple things. He says, first of all, no sex for about 3 weeks. So I said, well, Doc, you know, Valentine's Day's already passed, and Father's Day's in June, and my birthday's not till October, so I think we're good on that. He said, secondly, you know, this thing with the pain medication, I'm not sure that you're ever going to be able to have another surgery, because you pretty much capped us out on pain meds, you know. If you have another surgery, I think the only thing we can do is give you a transfusion from Keith Richards. I mean, you've capped out. So that's why I want to say to you guys, say no to drugs, and tell your kids to say no to drugs, because someday you might really need them. So, my name is Chip Jones, and that's my part.